I think I've just found the bottleneck that was preventing my brand from reaching $500,000 per month. We increased our homepage conversion rate by 111%. We increased our collection page conversion rate to 4%, and we increased our product page conversion rate by 70%, which means in the last 7 days, we've effectively doubled our conversion rate. And the crazy part is, we didn't increase ad spend, we didn't launch a new product, we simply started listening to what customers were already telling us. And the results were even better than I expected, because we didn't just increase our conversion rate, we increase something far more important, revenue per visitor, which means every person that lands on this website is now worth more money to the business. And if I can keep increasing that number, then $500,000 a month becomes much easier. And here's the interesting part. After running these tests, I've realized that conversion rate isn't the most important metric. It's just a piece of the equation, because once a website converts, the objective changes to how can we increase our revenue per visitor. And that's exactly what we're working on next. So in this video, I'm going to share with you the exact results from our split tests. I'm going to explain the misunderstandings around conversion rate optimization. I'll break down the metric that actually matters, which is revenue per visitor. I'll share how I'm going to optimize and improve my offer, and also a quick look into my ad account, because we are printing from all of these changes. So let's get into it. Also, quick one before we continue. For every episode in this series, I'm giving away a free coaching call. To enter, just like the video and drop a comment below. I'll randomly pick one winner from the comments and reach out directly. Good luck. So quick recap, in the last episode of the 500k per month series, we did a deep dive into our customer data, pulling customer reviews, support emails, Reddit threads, survey responses, and competitor reviews. And instead of guessing, we let our customers tell us exactly what they wanted. We then took all of that data and applied it to Stephen Georgi's RMBC framework and Eugene Schwartz's customer awareness stages. We then used all that information to optimize our homepage, collection page, and product page. So now let me show you the results of our split tests. So first and foremost, the homepage. Now, surprisingly, this was actually our biggest winner, a 111% conversion rate lift. And I'll be honest, this was the biggest shock to me, okay? I was under the assumption that because we were sending most of our traffic to our product pages, not many people were really going to visit the homepage, but I was wrong, okay? Especially when we're now using Meta for demand creation. A lot more people do naturally come to Google, type in the name of our brand, and when they do that, where are they going to land? The homepage, right? And if you have an optimized product page, but your homepage isn't, then it is going to impact your conversion rate. And I've got the proof right here in front of us. As you can see over a sample size of 500 visitors, here we have the existing homepage test, which generated 7 orders at a 2.7% conversion rate and $14 revenue per visitor, versus the new homepage, which generated 14 orders at a 5.7% conversion rate and a $30 revenue per visitor. And we're going to be speaking more about this metric after I've gone through the results of the collection page and the product page. But just so you can see how big of an impact this actually has, according to the results of this split test, the new homepage will drive an estimated additional $27,511 for my brand, which, like I say, is a bit of a shock to me. I had no idea how impactful homepage can be. So guys, if you're going to learn anything from this, do not sleep on your homepage. Get it optimized. Now let's take a quick look at the collection page. You can see the existing results here. There were no orders attributed during the testing window, but in the same time frame, we sent 50% of our traffic to our new collection page, which actually generated 5 orders at a 4% conversion rate and $24 revenue per visitor. And lastly, the product page test. Over a sample size of 1,000 visitors, we sent 50% to our existing homepage, which generated 9 orders at a 1.8% conversion rate and $13 revenue per visitor. We then sent 500 visitors to the new product page, which generated 16 orders at a 3.2% conversion rate and generated $22 revenue per visitor, a 70% increase in conversion rate, 65% increase in revenue per visitor. Now, I want to actually address one thing, which is sample size, okay? I ran these tests over an 11-day period, which got us 500 visits to the homepage, 250 visits to the collection page, and about 1,000 visits to the product page in the USA market. I was told by a friend of mine who runs a conversion rate optimization agency that you need 2,000 conversions for a split test to be statistically conclusive. Now, those of you that know me know that I sell high ticket products, okay? My average order value is $540. And I launched this brand back in May of 2025. Now, over the past 12 months, I've had about 4,000 conversions. So if I wanted to let these split tests run up until 2,000 conversions, I'd probably be waiting 6 months, which is far too long. In business, it's very important that you move with speed. So rather than wait until I generate 2,000 conversions, I decided to let the test run for close to a couple of weeks until I could conclude that the new pages that I'd created were outperforming the existing ones. Most people think that conversion rate optimization is just about increasing your conversion rate, but it isn't, okay? Your conversion rate is just one of the attributes that contributes towards conversion rate optimization. But there are other metrics that also contribute towards it that are very important. There are 5 key metrics that contribute to conversion rate optimization, okay? First and foremost is the number of visitors to your site and the intent behind them. Remember, we spoke about this last episode in episode 2, where I explained Eugene Schwartz's levels of awareness. For those of you that haven't watched episode 2, I highly recommend that you go back and watch it. I'll drop the link in the video description. Not every visitor is the same. They all have different levels of awareness. Someone on Google typing in the name of a product that you sell, clicking on a Google ad, landing on your website and purchasing has far more intent compared to someone who has just seen a meta ad and clicked on an ad, landed on a website. Because person A has gone to Google and physically typed in the name of a product. Person B, who saw the meta ad, has been presented with an ad while they're scrolling on social media and then decided to click. They didn't go actively searching for it. Therefore, the level of intent is considerably lower. So if you're pushing a lot of people to your website that are product aware and have high purchase intent, then that's going to lead to you having a higher conversion rate naturally, because the people are coming to you, right? They're searching Google, looking for your product, seeing a Google ad, landing on your site. Therefore, the customer journey and the conversion cycle is much shorter, which means you can generate more revenue per the number of visits, because the traffic on your website has higher intent and therefore a higher conversion rate, which means you're going to generate more revenue overall. Not only that, but because people are already pre-sold, they have high purchase intent and they've come to you on Google, it also means your average order value, i.e. how much they spend on your site, is going to be higher, which means you generate even more revenue per visitor. So it's not just about the actual conversion rate itself, it's about all of these metrics, because they all contribute towards conversion rate optimization, which is why I'm such a big advocate of starting with Google Ads. That's where you find the highest intent traffic. People are actively coming there searching for the products that you sell. And as an advertiser, you only pay when someone clicks on your ad. So all you're doing is just capturing existing demand, which means your conversion rate is higher than what it would typically be if you're pushing traffic from Meta. For those of you that do want to learn more about Google Ads dropshipping, I have a free Google Ads dropshipping group. It's completely free to join, and inside of that group, I break down everything. I have video trainings on product and market research, product sourcing, building your website, setting your Google Ads live, generating your first few sales, and then scaling towards consistent profits. It's completely free to join. Just see the link in the video description for more information. Now, as I mentioned to you guys earlier, the objective right now is increasing revenue per visitor, because that is what is actually going to grow this business. Last week in episode 2, I broke down the numbers and explained why I wanted to double my conversion rate from 1.5 to 3%. Because if I can push the same amount of traffic to my website, maintain the same level of ad spend, but double my conversion rate whilst maintaining the same average order value, then I can essentially double my return on advertising spend. But the key word there being maintaining my average order value, because it's not just about conversion rate and conversion rate alone. Let me explain. I've added in column C to show you that it's not just about conversion rate. Let's run through a hypothetical scenario, right? Let's assume that I decreased my product price by, say, 25% because I thought it was going to make me more competitive in the market. And ultimately, I wanted to increase my conversion rate. And by decreasing my price by 25%, it increased my conversion rate by 25%, meaning my conversion rate is now 2, but my revenue generated from the ad spend is 25% lower, meaning my overall return on advertising spend is also 25% lower. And my revenue per visitor, how much each visitor on my website is worth, has also decreased from $8 down to $6. So you see, it's not just about conversion rate, it's about all of these metrics combined. And if you want to increase your revenue per visitor, then you need to optimize all of these metrics. Now, the reason I wanted to emphasize this is because I see it over and over again with students inside my program. They'll turn to me and say, Theo, I set my ads live. I've spent, $100. I've pushed 100 people to my website and I didn't get a sale yet. So I've decreased my product pricing to make myself more competitive. No, that's not what you do. I taught you how to enter the market at mid-range, right? I always recommend when anyone's starting launching a new brand, a new product, position yourself in the middle of the market, not the lowest, not the highest, but just simply competitive. If you decrease your product price, you've just changed your market positioning and you're sacrificing your own profit margin. So yes, you may go on to generate a sale having reduced the price, but you've done so at the expense of your own profit, because by reducing the product price, you've reduced your revenue per visitor. One, you've been running your ads for a week. 100 visitors is not enough to conclude anything from. You're simply being too quick to make a decision. And two, your price is not the issue. It's your offer. Now, when I say offer, most people think I mean buy one, get one free, or buy two and save 20%. That's not what I mean. Your product is not your offer, okay? Your product and your offer is why somebody buys. People don't just buy because it's buy one, get one free, or because if they buy multiple, they get a discount. That is one element of an offer. Your offer is your positioning, okay? How you're positioned in the market. So that can be your pricing, and it can also be your authority within a particular niche, which is why I always express the importance of building a niche specific store to my students. You need to become an authority within your niche for positioning and brand perception. Then there's your messaging, i.e. the copy. Then you have the bundle element, which is what we were just talking about a moment ago, okay? Buy one, get one, or buy two and save. But bundles don't just have to be discounts. There are other things that you can bundle to increase the perceived value of your offer. And we're going to speak more on perceived value in just a moment. But some ways to increase perceived value can be bonuses, okay? You can get a bonus with the core product as part of the bundle, such as a digital product or a free gift. Next up would be some kind of guarantee, like a money-back guarantee. This is quite popular in e-commerce now. You'll see many brands doing it. 30-day trial, 60-day trial, even 90-day trial. Another big one is, of course, social proof. So Trustpilot reviews, user-generated content, anything that's going to be a credit to your brand when it comes to social perception. And then, of course, we have the value stack. Have you ever wondered how there can be two brands selling the exact same product whilst one is struggling and the other is scaling into the millions? The difference isn't necessarily the product, it's how the offer is presented. Remember, we spoke about this in episode 2. I said I come across many brands that are struggling, and the difference between those that are struggling and those that are scaling is clarity. And clarity also applies to your offer. If you're able to make it very clear and compelling as to why the customer should buy from you as opposed to your competitor, then they're going to buy from you. You remove all of the friction, and it simply becomes an emotional decision because your brand is better positioned. And I've literally showed you this is true with my own brand, because this is exactly what I was working on when I applied the RMBC framework and Eugene Schwartz's customer awareness levels. I used all of my customer data to improve my positioning, to improve my messaging, to add a guarantee and leverage social proof. All of this contributes towards my value stack. And the result of this was the conversion rate and revenue per visitor uplift that you saw on my homepage, collection page, and product page. Now, what I haven't yet done is optimized my bundles and bonuses, which is what I'm working on at the moment. So like I said to you earlier, sure, decreasing your product price might increase your conversion rate, but at the expense of your own revenue per visitor, meaning even if your conversion rate increases, you've made less money. So the issue is not product price alone, it's all of these different variables which contribute towards your offer. Remember, price is what you pay, value is what you get. If you decrease your price, you don't give more value. That's simply discounting. And all you're going to do is destroy your own margin, when what you need to do is increase perceived value. And how do you increase perceived value? Well, it's these points right here: positioning, messaging, bundles, bonuses, guarantees, social proof, combining to be a complete value stack. And that's exactly what I'm working on right now. Not lowering prices, but increasing value. And you've seen what impact that's had on my homepage, collection page, and product page. And those results were from me optimizing just one product page. Now I need to follow that same method, that same strategy that I taught you in episode 2, and apply it to the other products on my store. And once I've dialed in all of my products and offers, guess what? I'm going to be increasing my product pricing. And that'll be a new split test that I set up, because that is going to be a sure way to do what? Increase revenue per visitor. Most people in e-commerce never change their pricing, which is ridiculous. Think about the cost of everyday items for you: food, fuel, taxes. Everything is constantly increasing. And yet me, you, and everyone else still buys these products. So improve your offer, increase your product pricing, test it, and maximize your revenue per visitor. Yes, conversion rate might come down, but it's still possible for your revenue per visitor to increase, especially if you dial in your offer before raising your prices. So now hopefully you understand what an offer is, and more importantly, how it can be applied to increase your conversion rate, which is exactly what I've done on my homepage, collection page, and product page. Now, I'm still working on it, but you can see this has already had a considerable uplift to my conversion rate. But what you haven't seen is the impact this has had on my meta campaigns. So let's take a quick look inside of the ad account. So as you can see here, guys, we're looking at results for the month of May, and we are absolutely printing. You can see here we have a campaign that's generated 55 conversions at a conversion value of $38,000 and a 388% return on advertising spend. Here we have a remarketing campaign. As you can see, 9 purchases, $5,700 in purchase conversion value, and a 10, basically 11x ROAS. And then last but not least, we have a new campaign which I'm running for a new product. Not quite as glamorous. 6 purchases, $3,200 in purchase conversion value, and a 2.5x ROAS, which for me is just a little bit too low. I need that ROAS to increase. But keep in mind that this is for a product that is different from the one that I've already optimized. So I still need to run this product through the RMBC framework, Eugene Schwartz's customer awareness levels, and optimize the offer. I expect from all those changes we can increase the conversion rate and revenue per visitor, giving us more opportunity to then scale this campaign as well. That's it for Meta Ads today, just a quick sneak peek, but next week what I'll do is a breakdown on, Meta Ads, what's going on, what's working, what isn't, and also I want to share my email marketing strategy with you guys, something that doesn't really get spoken about enough, but is actually contributing considerably to the overall revenue that we are generating. This is how you need to think about it, right? Here we have meta ads, which are generating demand for the products that I sell, driving more people to Google, where they're searching for my brand and the products that I sell. There they're being met with my Google ads. They then click on my Google ads, land on my website, and opt in for my mailing list. We have a pretty high opt-in rate. My mailing list has a 13% submit rate. So of those hundreds and thousands of visitors that we're sending to my website, 13% of them are joining my mailing list, which is then contributing to the conversion cycle, leading to more website purchases. So as you can see, although these channels are independent, Meta, Google, email, they're all connected and they all contribute towards my customer journey. So next week in episode 4, what I want to break down for you is my sales funnel, so you can have an understanding of how all of these pieces are connecting and what I'm doing at each stage of the funnel to maximize revenue per visitor. If you're enjoying this 500k per month series, make sure to smash that like button, drop a comment and hit subscribe. And if you want to work with me personally to build and scale your own e-commerce business, the same way I helped Aaron, Alan, Yilda, Huddle, Ali, Yasser, Georgia, Kieran, and all the other members inside of the Google Ads Ecom Academy, then see the link in the video description for more information. That is all for this video. I will see you next week in episode 4.